Hello, fellow gobshites, and welcome back to this week's episode of Honest to God with me, your host, Gemma Ray. And today I'm going to be talking about this phrase. It is a black post-it note written in white ink because that's what I do. I write on black paper with white pen because I'm very extra. And it says, "I don't know how, but I allow," with a pound sign. And this is a mantra on this post-it note that is in front of my laptop that I am focusing on all the time at the moment, because I share with you a little story today of why I have given up my amazing clients and job and income over the last 8 weeks, and I find myself in a little bit of a dilemma, so I thought I would share it on this week's podcast. So let me take you back a little bit to the last few episodes. So let me think. Last week I recorded on my sofa, which looked like an absolute shit show. If you are watching today, you will see I have made things a little bit better. I have got myself some greenery in a plant that I've not yet killed. I bought myself some of those fancy magnetic lights that uplight the room in a lovely honest to God pink. And there's some lights in the background. I don't have a very narrow wooden slatted wall behind me that most podcasts seem to have. So I feel like I'm missing out on that aesthetic right now, but this definitely looks better than last week. And reasons will become clear why I am recording at home as part of this episode and the dilemma that I find myself in. But going back to those episodes that I recorded, the first one back of this series, talking about fostering the children, NVR, the non-violent resistant parenting, and the decluttering episode, I recorded those at Liverpool Podcast Studios back in March, and I wasn't in a good place at all. And at the time, when I was telling that story on the podcast, it wasn't my story to tell because I wasn't involved at that point, but I am now, and so I can kind of touch on it. We had just found out that there was a new baby on the way, another family member that may require kinship foster care. And I think looking back at that time, so that was the end of March when I recorded those podcasts, we're now in October, looking back on that time was extremely stressful mentally for myself and my husband. That dilemma of, can we do this, can we not? And so it got to June. Now, when you are a foster carer, the children have a social worker, but us as foster carers, we have a social worker too, who looks after our interests and our well-being. And that's called a supervising social worker. And our supervising social worker had been round and had a few chats with us, as had other social workers, about the potential of taking on this additional family member, another nephew, basically. And myself and my husband agonised over this decision because it's been a very long 2.5 years and a lot of hard work and effort to get to this place of feeling like a family with my niece who's now 8 and my nephew who's 2.5, who we had from the age of 5 and birth. And it's been a really difficult process. And I talked about that at length in the episodes about NVR and my fostering journey. And so we were in this dilemma of could we or couldn't we do this? And we spoke with our supervising social worker and we decided that we didn't think it was right, and it was heartbreaking and agonising, but we didn't think we could do it. Then, let me fast forward to the 23rd of July. Myself and my husband make our annual pilgrimage. We've only done it for 2 years, but I can tell you it's going to be an annual thing, to Tomorrowland, which is, if you haven't heard of this, first of all, where have you been? Tomorrowland is an incredible festival regarded as the best music festival in the world for electronic dance music, EDM. Yes, we are in our 40s. I'm completely sober, but we love it, right? We go to this festival and people are like, how do you do that? But we love it. We love dance music. I don't need a drink or anything else to have the best time. So we go and make our annual pilgrimage to Tomorrowland. And it is the best thing we've ever done. I fall in love with my husband all over again every time. You know, the last 2 times we've been to this place, it just reminds me who he is as a person, not as this dad, partner who's trying to provide and support and be there for everybody and be everybody to all things, because as I've said before in previous episodes, I think this journey of kinship foster care has been a lot harder on him because it's his family. I'm a bit detached. I can remove myself from that emotional side, and it's been really hard for him. So we arrive at Belgium airport, Brussels airport, and we're ready to get on this bus and start our Tomorrowland magical journey. And this guy comes on the bus and he's dressed in all the themed costume and he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you on this magical trip to Tomorrowland." And he starts his spiel and my phone rings and it's my supervising social worker. So I answer the phone and this guy on the bus gives me the daggers because I've interrupted his magical introduction of Tomorrowland. And he said, "Put the phone down." I was like, "I can't, this is really important." He's like, "Get off the bus then." So I get off the bus, take this phone call, and basically my supervising social worker says, "Listen, the new baby's social worker has been in touch. At this point, the baby's not been born. There is nobody else to have this child. Are you sure that you don't want to put yourselves forward? Because otherwise he's going to be put up for adoption." So, in fact, I have my Tomorrowland jumper on right now for those of you watching, and it has the theme of Tomorrowland, which is Live, Love, Unite. If you haven't been to this festival or seen anything of it online, it is just incredible. It is magical. The energy, the vibe, there's something super duper special about it. And so we're there, loving our favourite DJs, our favourite dance acts, and we're all there. We're at one. We're meeting people. We're sharing the energy, and then one of us would be raving, and the other one would be sat there looking a bit sad, and turn around and go, "What are you thinking about?" It's like, "Oh, you don't want to know." So we had 5 days together without the kids to really discuss, could we do this? Could we take on this child? And the upshot of it was that we decided that we would, and we would put ourselves forward for what's called a viability assessment. So that's the 23rd of July. On the 30th of July, so a week later, I get a phone call from the baby's social worker to say, "This baby's arriving imminently and you need to be on standby." And maybe this was a little bit premature, but I went into work the next day and I left work that day. So I left work on the 31st of July. I had this crazy handover wrap-up session to kind of wrap up all of my projects with the understanding that it was highly likely this baby was going to come to us. Now, we've battled for the last couple of years to get access to financial support as kinship foster carers. I've done a lot of training, extended training. So I'm now classed as what's a level 2 foster carer. And while it does not replace my income at all, it was like, right, okay, so the baby's going to come, we'll be on level 2 payments. We're going to be fine. We looked at the finances. We're going to be fine. Everything's cool. And then it didn't happen. For reasons I can't go into, there is a further extended assessment period. And so we effectively are still on standby and still having those agonising conversations of, can we do this or can we not? We actually don't technically have room for another child, but we are in the process of starting an extension in the next couple of months, which would give us space. But it is a really, really tough and hard decision, and we haven't fully committed either way. We don't know what the impact is going to be on the children that are already in our care. We just don't know. So we're in a bit of a mental no man's land. But it's now 8 weeks, I think. 8 weeks and 9 weeks since that happened. And I have ploughed myself into my own creative endeavours. So I've replaced my client hours with doing this podcast, trying to do a bit more content of my own personal brand, which has been great and also not. For example, TikTok is a new thing to me, and I've created 15 pieces of content, right, over the last 8-9 weeks. And 3 of those have gone viral for my data. So I started off with, I think, about 200 and something followers. I think I've now got nearly 1,000. But 3 of those pieces of content, one of them is a video of myself and Sean, my husband, raving to Mark Rebelay's "Get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go." And our teenager, who's almost 15, is just making his cornflakes in between us and completely ignoring us. And I took it off the camera, the security camera in the kitchen, because it's just this natural, stupid family moment. And I'd popped it on Instagram, and a great lady called Soraya in the Peaks on Instagram, wonderful lady to follow. She messaged me and she's like, this would do great on TikTok. You should put it on TikTok. And I'm a bit of a TikTok dinosaur. I don't really know what I'm doing. So I did. And it just went a bit crazy. It went to like over 100,000 views. So I was like, all right, yeah, maybe she's onto something here. And I'd also done a very honest review of a place called the Ice Cream Farm in Cheshire, which is somewhere I'd visited with my son, who's now a teenager, when he was little. And I went back again with our kids and our nieces, and basically the pricing model had changed. So I did this very honest review of the place. Well, that blew up. That got like 400,000 views. And then yesterday I posted a clip from the podcast episode, not last week, but the week before, about decluttering, about how I'd played Sort Your Life Out with my niece and got her into it, and we laid out all of her possessions. So I took that podcast clip and overlaid the videos from the time when we'd played Sort Your Life Out, and I put every single item of her possessions on the patio. Now, I only put that out yesterday, and at the time of recording, it's had over 600,000 views and 50,000 likes and so many comments, and my followers have gone up like to nearly 1,000. So I find myself in this position where I want to plough my efforts into the podcast. I'm making content and I'm being approached by brands to do stuff. Full disclosure, it's all like, come and join us and get free entry. Nothing paid yet. And I'm just in this, I don't know how, but I allow, going back to my little mantra, I need to find something that's going to generate an income that will work around the children. And I kind of also feel a bit silly saying that, because there are so many women out there with kids who are juggling a career, who are having to do this struggle juggle. And I'm no special person to want to not do that and try and do something different. But I have found myself in an incredibly challenging position I've gone from being fun auntie, or we've gone from being fun auntie and uncle, to parents, guardians, foster carers who have to parent by a kind of framework and a set of rules and just a different way of parenting. And it is exhausting. And in order for us to have a really happy, content family life, we've always got to be 20 steps ahead of the children's emotions and what they might be thinking, because a child who's experienced trauma and adverse child experiences, her brain is just wired different, and it's been like learning another language. And over the last 8-9 weeks, I have missed my job terribly. I have missed the people I work with to the point it hurts a little bit. I love my colleagues like family, like friends, and I've missed them. But I'm looking back over what we have been doing and how I juggled everything, and I don't know how I did it. And stress is that funny thing. I think sometimes you've got to come through it to be able to recognise just how difficult it was. When you are in it, it's so difficult to realise that you're in it and be able to get out of it. And so I would never have left my job. Ever. In a million years, I just never would, because I was in it. I was ready to kind of help build it, be there at the coalface, support the CEO, build up this business. I absolutely loved it. I still love it. I've done a day last month where just working on like email sequences, because that's what I do. That marketing operations is what I do. So I've been trying to do bits of work that fit in with the kids, where I'm not in a production line. I'm not waiting on people to give me information or having to get approval for things. I'm very autonomous in the tasks that I've been doing. So in September, I did generate some income, about a third of what I normally earn. But that's not going to last forever. And we're really lucky that I have completely changed my money mindset over the last few years, and I've become a master saver. And I will do another episode on this, because I've gone from being someone who has been physically sick at sending invoices and so worried about money, experiencing panic attacks, to someone who is now obsessed and gets an actual buzz and a kick out of saving money. So I am going to do an episode on that in the future, because I'd love to share what I've learned, what lot changed for me because it's just brought a massive sense of peace. So I'm really proud that really hard work that I did on my money mindset has enabled us to be in this position right now where I am able to focus on my own creative endeavours in the absence of a child coming and not be stressed about finances. But it's not going to last forever. I'm also a foster carer, so I can't sell crusty verruca feet or hairy bumhole pics on OnlyFans. It's kind of not going to be the done thing. That will probably come back as a bit of a safeguarding issue. Even though, look, I do now have the setup to be a cam girl. Joking if you are listening, supervising social workers. Joking. And I have written books. If you are new to this podcast, I've written books about self-discipline, stopping procrastinating. And it's really hard to market books these days. I went on, so I self-published through Amazon and it's called Kindle Direct Publishing. And I went on that the other day for the first time in a long time. And to see the profit that I make on every book, they have snakily put prices up over the last few years and I have not kept my eye on the ball with that. So it's no wonder there's no income coming in from that. I also don't run adverts to my books anymore. And I think I don't because I don't feel like that person anymore who wrote those books. That was a person who had one kid and a husband at the time who worked normal shifts and an easy, cushy life, and now it's hard. And so sometimes, I have been turning to my own books, the Stop Procrastinating and Start Living one. I wrote it in a way that you could flick to any chapter and get inspiration to take action at any point. I've been reading my own words back at myself just to get me to take action. I have created over the years so many digital products that I could sell. I'm a planning nerd, so I've done digital planners, goal-setting workshops, workbooks, you name it, I've created it. And I've done nothing with it. And even now, actually, as I'm saying this, here I am with this podcast, knocking my microphone, and this is a shop window for the stuff that I've got, but I've painted the shop window black. All of the things that I've created are in crusty, rat piss infested cardboard boxes at the back, never to see the light of day. So I've kind of gone about this the wrong way, really. I probably should have created a digital shop with all of these products that I've got, including my books, and then done the podcast and been like, hey, yeah, come and join in, because that's obviously what people use podcasts for. This is me, this is my personal brand, this is what I've got to sell you, this is how I can help you. Go and invest in it, hope you get something from it. But money also isn't my currency. Even though I'm going to talk about money mindset, it isn't what drives me. I said to a friend last week, I've been helping a friend who's got her own business, and she was like, invoice me. I was like, no, it's fine, I'm just your mate, it's cool. She was like, I don't understand why you've not got your own agency and you're not earning millions. And I was like, because I'm addicted to making everybody else rich. It's just my thing. And she said, well, great, carry on with your addiction and keep helping me. And I know I drive my husband insane because it often comes back down to your own worth. And this, putting myself out there again on this podcast, on my social media, it's hard. It feels icky. I am in my era of stop telling me what to do, social media. Stop telling me that I'm not thin enough, I'm not rich enough, my skin's not good enough. Like, I'm sick of, and I don't want this to sound derogatory, but 20-something influencers who are yet to live their lives telling me how I should be living my life. I'm kind of done with that, which makes it difficult to market books where that past version of me has also been that person. And it's just this quandary that I find myself in of how the heck am I going to make this work? Because I have got savings, they're not going to last forever, but I can't go back to doing what I was doing, because the other side of it is I've been a much more present parent over the last 8 weeks. As I said, it's only when you come through the stress when I've realised just how hard it was. And now little things like I can cook a meal from scratch without also answering Slack messages and emails and listening to WhatsApp voice notes from clients and being available. I can keep the house kind of tidy. It isn't perfect. It never will be. It's a busy, chaotic household, but I'm able to keep on top of it a bit more. That fills me, with a sense of pride. I haven't been working at night. I've maybe worked at night a couple of times. So I've been getting to bed earlier and sleeping more. And all of these little things have added up to a person who feels just much more happy and settled in her situation, her family situation that, let's be honest, wasn't what I wanted. It was thrust upon us and we've had to make it work. And in order for us to make it work for the long term, I have to think long term, and I just can't go back to doing what I was doing. Doesn't matter how much I love my colleagues and how much I miss them, I'm going to struggle going back to working in the way that I was, because when I'm old and on my deathbed, and this is what I keep coming back to, am I going to lie there when I'm old and on my deathbed and go, oh, do you know what? I'm made up that I work 60 to 80 hours a week and had all that money. I'm absolutely made up about that. Or am I going to lie on my deathbed and go, do you know that time when you stepped back from work and you had the mental capacity to take on that fourth child? That was a really good decision. Because I'm sure that when I'm an old wrinkly lady, because I hope I'm going to be an old wrinkly lady on my deathbed, I don't think I'd regret a kid. But I think I'd regret choosing money over a kid. So I've really got to try and find something that I can do. And this isn't a beg for money. This isn't a beg for clients. This isn't a beg for you to go and buy my books, buy my products. I think this is me doing live therapy on myself. So thank you for joining my self-therapy session. I've therapized myself once again. And I would love to hear from people who have maybe taken this risk. I feel quite frustrated that I have spent the first 14 years of motherhood feeling like I can have it all, feeling like I can be super mum, feeling like I can be both corporate bitch and playground mum and be there for the kids. And the reality is I have really struggled, once we ended up with 2 more children, to split myself in two. That those 2 characters that I've played have not really married up very well. It was fine when I had 1 child. Having 3, it's just not working. And I feel really sad about that. I feel like I could go into this more, but I can't because it's 3:01 and I've got to go and do the school run. I feel like I'm committing career suicide in a way. I am hugely putting a dampener on my earnings. I'm not putting anything into a pension anymore. That worries me. If I think about that too much, I might cry because I was doing really well with that. But I need to find something that is going to work for us as a family. And so before I go, some of the practical things that I've done, because I don't want this to just be a moan fest. I don't want this to just be therapy. I don't want this to be woe is me. If you find yourself in a position where you are questioning your role in work or with parenting, you don't have to be a mum to think about these things. You don't have to be a parent to think that you want to change your life and that life isn't working for you. We live in such a fast-paced world right now. We were never meant to live this fast. So some of the things that I've done, number 1, myself and my husband sat down and went through the finances with a fine-tooth comb and a colour-coordinated spreadsheet with lots of sexy formulas that he made. I'm going to do this with my sexy voice because it was amazing. And to see it all laid out was great. We had lots of things coming out that we didn't need to, that we've cancelled. I was paying for website domains for other people, email addresses. There was lots of things on my business side that I was hemorrhaging money. I've spent, oh my goodness, like £800 with Google on email addresses and domains that haven't been in existence for 7 or 8 years. And so we did a really thorough forensic financial audit of all of our money and saved a heck of a lot by cancelling things that were no longer needed, but also looking at stuff and thinking, right, where could we save money? One thing we've started to do, again, which we had done years ago, is HelloFresh. I will put a affiliate code in the show notes because, hey, why not? If I can get 25 quid off my boxes, Brucey bonus. In the past, when we've used HelloFresh, Gousto, Mindful Chef, you name it, we've done it, when there was only 3 of us, I don't think it was as cost effective as it is now. I think the prices of it now have not, they've hardly gone up, but the cost of my everyday shop has. So HelloFresh has been saving us a heck of a lot of money, and also ticking that box of feeding the children good food. And also for me, I'm making things from scratch in a world that's normally overwhelming. I normally hate cooking, so that's been good. And then we looked at our savings. I put away a lot of money for tax. Now, I'm not going to be earning at the same amount for the last 4 months of this year, or even maybe potentially further. So the money that I've already put away, we realised that we could use that as a buffer. And then, yeah, like I said, I've just been going through what is it that I've got that I could sell legally in order to create an income that will still allow me to be there mentally, emotionally, physically for the children. And so to kind of bring it back to the main topic, I don't have the answers and I don't know how, but I allow. And I am also doing some like witchy stuff in the background with manifesting and tarot cards and the moon. And, some people might scoff at that and be like, you absolute loon. But it brings me comfort. And it's a lot nicer to sit here and visualize this podcast becoming a success, this podcast having sponsors, this podcast helping people, because again, money ain't my currency. If you can get something out of this, if you can learn something from this, if you can feel something from this, if you can ask yourself some questions from listening to this podcast, amazing, job done, love it. I don't know how, but I allow. And if you've got any other tips or advice, I would love to hear from you. You can find me at Gemma D. Ray on both TikTok now, because I'm a TikToker, and Instagram. Or you can go to my website, gemmaray.com, once I figure out how to fix it, because my SSL certificates have run out and ChatGPT gave me the wrong advice. And so that website is down at the moment, but it will be back up. And my lovely friend Zoe has encouraged me to create a Buy Me a Coffee account, which again feels a bit strange, feels a bit like begging. Let me find it. Let me find the URL for it. Let's find it. So my Buy Me a Coffee link is buymeacoffee.com/Gemma Ray, GEMMARAY. If you've enjoyed it, if you would have enjoyed this chat over a coffee with me, and you fancy bunging me a couple of quid for a brew, I'd love that. That would be amazing. And if you've got any stories, any success stories of taking a risk and doing something different for the good of your family, for the good of your mental health, for the good of your future, if you've been working on your dreams and it's required you to make a big decision and take a risk, please do get in touch. Let me know. I absolutely love getting the feedback on these episodes, because it makes me feel less like I'm talking at these four walls and like I'm actually reaching the people who need to listen to this. So thank you for listening. This has been Honest to Gob. My name's Gemma Ray, and I'll see you next week.